We are now under 6 minutes to launch. Now, also recorded earlier in Baikonur, here is SSL Senior Executive Director David Bernstein.
Greetings from Baikonur. I'm excited to be here on the eve of the launch of SatMex-8. This is an important launch for us. This is our second satellite that we've built for SatMex, and it'll be our 25th launch on the Proton. I'm also personally excited to be here since I've spent my entire career in the satellite business, and this will be the first launch that I'll actually get to see in person. I want to thank everybody who's been involved in the program. I want to thank our customer, SatMex, who's been wonderful to work with over the last couple of years. And I want to thank the team from SSL, who's done a terrific job on designing and building this satellite over the last couple of years. I've checked with the team. We're all ready to go. So go Proton, go SatMex-8.
And now here's a short video about SatMex-8 prepared by SatMex-8 manufacturer SSL.
Space Systems Loral, the leading manufacturer of high-power commercial satellites, designed and built the SatMex-8 spacecraft for SatMex. The satellite is designed to provide fixed satellite services in North, South, and Central America, including the Caribbean. Its advanced antenna design and overlapping coverage areas will provide video content and distribution, broadband services, and cellular backhaul in the Americas. To help people in remote areas, SatMex-8 will also provide service for distance learning, telemedicine, and emergency services. The satellite will be located at 116.8 degrees west longitude, where it will provide service for 15 years or longer. SatMex-8 will replace SatMex-5, and together with Space Systems Loral-built SatMex-6, it will serve as a workhorse to sustain the SatMex business plan for many years to come. Throughout the SatMex-8 program, the SSL and SatMex teams worked closely together. The SSL team was led by Executive Director Rob Turner, and the SatMex team was led by Program Manager Jesus Gutierrez.
SatMex-8 is the second spacecraft that Space Systems Loral has built for SatMex. The first spacecraft that we built was SatMex-6, which was launched in 2006. It was part of the early new generation Omega spacecraft that we were building at that time. The on-site representatives from SatMex, as well as their consultants, worked with us on a daily basis to ensure the success of this program.
We're happy to work with Space Systems Loral because together with the SatMex team and our technical consultants, SEI, we work together and we address all the challenges that we encounter over the program. I believe teamwork and relationship was very beneficial to the program because it helped us to finish a quality product, which has become a very important asset for SatMex. SatMex-8 also means growth for the company.
SSL also provided ground control equipment improvements for SatMex, including full upgrades in Iztapalapa and Hermosillo, Mexico.
I'd like to take this time to say thank you to all the people at Space Systems Loral that have dedicated their time to this program. Without your support, without your dedication, we couldn't have done it. Thank you.
Let's leave the last word before countdown to SatMex CEO Patricio Northland, recorded just a little while ago in Baikonur.
Greetings to all. I'm here in Baikonur with our SatMex team. We're very excited to be here. This is our first launch here from ILS Proton. We're excited to and looking forward to have SatMex-8 in operation soon in a few days. SatMex-8 represents our significant milestone of growth for our company, and we are very excited to be here. I wanted to thank you, the people from Loral and ILS, and especially our team from Mexico that has spent several days here. And again, we feel that this is a very important moment for our company. Go Proton, go SatMex-8. Thank you.
And now my co-host Karen Young will take us through the final pre-launch preparations and through liftoff of SatMex-8. Karen?
In addition to those at the launch site, there are many others watching who have played an important role in the SatMex-8 mission. And we'd like to say gracias for all your hard work in getting to this moment. SatMex in Mexico City, Mexico, SSL in Palo Alto, California, Khrushchev in Moscow, ILS headquarters in Reston, Virginia, and many others who have helped make today's launch of SatMex-8 a reality. We are about 15 seconds to launch. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ignition start. We have liftoff of an ILS Proton rocket from the Baikonur Cosmodrome in Kazakhstan with the SatMex-8 satellite on board. It can be a little difficult to see, but at about 10 seconds after liftoff, the rocket does a roll maneuver and will soon experience maximum dynamic pressure, also known as max-Q, and is the maximum aerodynamic load on the vehicle. For Proton, it corresponds to about Mach 1.6 and occurs at 1 minute 2 seconds after liftoff. Everything seems to be proceeding nominally as the vehicle heads across the Cosmodrome vertically in a northern-easterly direction with a flight launch azimuth of approximately 6.13 degrees. So as we can see, it's a beautiful night out in Baikonur. We have clear skies and we can watch this rocket on its flight path.
You know, as the ILS Proton travels easterly downrange, our viewers are going to notice some time lags in our reporting of key mission milestones. Now, the reason behind this delay is that as ILS Proton follows its pre-programmed flight path, it will pass out of range of the Baikonur receiving stations. Now, at this point, signals are received by stations downrange and transmitted back to Baikonur, so this does cause brief delays in our reporting.
We are coming up on the first stage's separation from the second stage. That is set to occur at 2 minutes into the flight. Zach, have we got confirmation? And we have confirmation of a good separation between the first and second stages. Okay, we're all proceeding as nominal and as planned. We have a signal of ignition on all 4 second stage engines. They will burn for a total of about 3 minutes and 27 seconds. The next key mission milestone will be stage 2-3 separation at L plus 5 minutes and 27 seconds. 20 seconds after that, the payload fairing pyros will fire, separating the 2 halves, and they will be jettisoned from the vehicle.
Now let's take a chronological look at SatMex-8's journey to launch.
Typically, it takes about 2 years for the launch vehicle and satellite to be built, tested, and shipped to the launch site. From crew and spacecraft arrival, it can take from 4 to 7 weeks to complete a launch campaign. Today's launch begins with the early team arrival in Baikonur. The spacecraft arrives aboard an Antonov cargo jet at Yubileyny Airfield. The spacecraft is offloaded from the plane and placed onto a railroad car. The thermally controlled rail car is hooked up to maintain the proper environmental conditions for the spacecraft during the 6-hour trip to the launch processing facilities. Once in the high bay, the spacecraft team does a series of system tests and other standalone operations, including fueling the spacecraft. Fueling of the spacecraft is then completed. The satellite is then mated to the Breeze-M upper stage and rotated horizontally to be encapsulated in the payload fairing in Hall 101. The spacecraft, fairing and upper stage are now referred to as the Ascent Unit. The entire assembly is mated to the booster stages of the ILS Proton launch vehicle in Hall 111. The integrated launch vehicle is rolled to the Breeze-M fueling station, where fueling of the Breeze-M is completed. The complete rocket rolls out to the launch pad, where the entire vehicle is changed from its horizontal position on the rail car to a vertical position on the launch pad. Then the service tower is moved into position. The mobile service tower provides services and accessibility to the launch vehicle and spacecraft. Proton rollout to the pad always occurs at exactly 6:30 in the morning, corresponding with the precise time the vehicle for Yuri Gagarin rolled out in 1961, marking this landmark anniversary in space advancement.
The Proton rocket is able to lift very heavy payloads into orbit. Proton launched Russian interplanetary missions to the Moon, Venus, Mars, and Halley's Comet. Proton also launched the Salyut space stations, the Mir core segment, and both the Zarya, meaning dawn, and Zvezda, meaning star, modules for today's International Space Station. Proton is a powerful rocket with the first stage engines producing 2.4 million pounds of thrust at sea level. Let's take a moment to learn more about the development of Proton. The Proton launch vehicle is the backbone of the Russian space industry with a long and significant history. Here are some quick facts. The Proton is the largest and most powerful Russian launch vehicle in operation. It has been launched more than 350 times since the mid-1960s. Khrunichev Research and Production Space Center, the majority owner of ILS, is one of the pillars of the Russian aerospace industry and manufactures both the Proton rocket and the Breeze-M upper stage. While the first Proton mission was in July of 1965, the first commercial Proton launch took place almost 30 years later in April of 1996. The UR-500 vehicle's first 3 payloads were spacecraft called Proton 1, 2, and 3, and subsequently, the launcher was named after its original payload. Khrunichev manages federal launch missions while ILS offers the Proton for commercial satellite launches. There are about 7 to 8 commercial missions a year and 3 to 5 federal missions, launching at a rate of about 1 per month. We are now just over 7 minutes into flight and coming up on some important milestones. Kieran, what can you confirm for us?
I confirm that we have second, third stage separation and payload fairing jettison. Everything is nominal. The payload fairing jettison occurs at a velocity of about 4,600 meters per second or 2.9 miles per second at an altitude of 137 kilometers. Our next major milestone happens in about 4 minutes. That will be the separation of the Proton's third stage from the Breeze-M upper stage.
Karen, thank you so much. The SatMex-8 mission team for this ILS Proton launch is made up of representatives from ILS, SatMex, Khrunichev State Research and Production Space Center, SSL, and Satellite Consulting. Here's the first in a series of messages from the SatMex-8 mission team from Russ Prytula, ILS Program Director for the SatMex-8 launch.
Buenos dias, dobre dien, and hello everyone. Yes, I am back in Baikonur to complete my 3rd launch campaign in a row. I'm Russ Prytula, ILS Program Director for SatMex-8. We have had a challenging journey to get to this point with some deep potholes along the way, but it is great to finally be in the home stretch. Although I am a Baikonur veteran, this is the very first campaign here for our SatMex customer, and I've certainly shared in their excitement. We are pleased that we could provide SatMex with a really good launch campaign despite the interruption we experienced. The weather here in March is on the upswing, and we've been treated to an occasional and very welcome taste of spring. My thanks to SatMex, SSL, Khrunichev, and all the teams that have worked so hard on this return-to-flight mission and the first Proton launch of 2013. As always, Wpierot Proton, Wpierot Brizem. Vamos, SatMex-8.